Greetings. Hello, everybody. Welcome to September 2020. This is a Japan travel update for those of you who are very interested in coming to Japan and yet you cannot because of the pandemic. Hi, I'm John Daub. This is Only in Japan Go, a live stream. And I thought it would be a good time to start off with autumn's update to see where we are, so you can come or start to make travel plans. One of the biggest questions that I continuously get: when can I come back to Japan? So hopefully this can help you. Starting in with Japan travel update. That's, I guess, Ultraman wearing a mask. That's the situation in Japan right now. We are still in a pandemic. However, one of the things that a lot of people need to understand is the situation in Japan is a lot different than the situation in India, in the United States, in Brazil, in China. Every single region, because tourism is pretty much cut, has a different situation and are handling it in different ways. I think over the course of the last few weeks Only in Japan, maybe the few months, you've been able to see in the live streams exactly how Japan is sort of combating this, and that gives you an idea when you do come to Japan, whether it is fall, winter, or spring, an idea of what to expect when you do hit the ground here. Let's take a look at some of the data. I've been doing these updates, by the way, since like February of 2020. So I really do hope that this helps. A lot of people have said that it does. The world has passed 30 million infections, nearly 1,000 deaths. That's significant. We've come a long way since February when this started to hit the news, and now we're getting to the end of 2020, and we're all still here. So there's a lot to be thankful for. There's talk of a vaccine. We're in a completely different situation now than we were 6 months ago. There's a new prime minister in Japan. This is very important for you to understand because he will be here when you come. His name is Suga Yoshihide. He's from Akita Prefecture. He's called Uncle Reiwa. He was the prime minister, or the man who held up the sign for the new era in Japan called Reiwa, which is the era that we're here in Japan. Before that, it was we were in Taisho, Showa, Heisei, and now we're in Reiwa. So that's the era that we're in. The global economy is projected to shrink 4.5% in 2020. Japan is in a recession. Was the first developed country to hit recession. So Prime Minister Suga has a very tough job ahead of him. He posted something on Facebook that made me smile. He's somebody who's he's no nonsense. He's somebody who really gets stuff done and goes directly at it, and I'm pretty hopeful that he will not just continue what Prime Minister Abe did, but make it better. And that's the hope. That's the hope. I've been telling people who tell me all the time about COVID here in Japan, they see what they see on the screen and then compare their country with what they see here in Japan. As you can see, this is according to September 17th, the US and India is catching up, has 6 million infections. Now, a lot of people have recovered, so this is just the infections total. India, Brazil, Russia, all over 1 million. Japan is at like less than 1%? No, just a little bit over 1% of the US infection rate. A little over 1%. So I want to just make that really clear. America might be testing more. Japan has 77,000 infections in a population of 130 million about. And the United States has 6.5 million in a population of about, 300 million? A little bit, 330 million. So the situation here is different, but we are still in a pandemic and we still need to take precautions, okay? The chance of getting an infection in Japan is a lot lower, but that doesn't mean you should be complacent. Also, the chance of fatalities in Japan is a lot lower because the hospitals are not as overrun as in other countries with sick patients coming in. So if you are in Japan and you do catch this, you're going to probably survive it, but it's not a reason to catch it and not a reason for anybody to be complacent. But I just wanted to show you those numbers to be clear that Japan is in a completely different situation as in, let's say, the United States or India, which is starting to really skyrocket. Here is the situation, the daily coronavirus infections and I'll take some questions in a second here. America is number one, but the daily coronavirus rates from September 2020, you can see the first wave that was in April went up and went down. This obviously was 3 or 4 times more than what you see on it, because you could see the blue line represents the amount of testing that was being done. So it wasn't a lot, and it hadn't changed since February all the way till July. They pretty much tested the same amount. It was really, really weak. And then you can see when July hit, the testing quadrupled in the amount of daily tests that they did, resulting in more people showing up as infected. And you can see there was a second wave that hit around August, and it's kind of going down again. And it's not going down as much as we like, because a lot of people are getting complacent, even myself. But you know, it's really, really hard because, again, like, everyone is pretty much wearing masks. A lot of them might have their nose sticking out. It's not a perfect situation. They're not N95 masks. Masks are not worn to protect you. They're worn to protect other people. Someone had a good comparison. Masks are pretty much like a condom. They keep the germs inside. They keep the viruses inside so they don't get out and affect everybody. That's if everyone is wearing one and we're all protected kind of a mentality. And when you go into places in Tokyo, there are signs and everyone are wearing masks. So that's not a problem. When you're in an open area outside, especially in the summer heat, people were not wearing masks. They had them out or they down. And when you were in crowded spaces, only you would wear the mask. So I want to make that very clear, because there's a lot of people who see me on the live streams and say, you're touching your mask, you're doing this. I'm not doing it to... maybe I do infect myself. I don't think so, because I'm using alcohol all the time. But I'm wearing the mask to protect other people, as other people are wearing masks to protect me. That's the way things have been working in Japan, and it has worked pretty successfully, considering the infection rates here in Japan are way, way less, about 1.3% of other places. So I want you to understand that. And when you do come to Japan, this is another reason I think they thought about this when they were going to hold the Olympics. The infection rate here is, 77,000 people. It really isn't as bad, but that doesn't, again, that's not a reason to get complacent. That's not a reason to celebrate either. But Japan's been doing a pretty good job, and Japanese citizens, it's not perfect, but it's been doing a pretty good job of that. Tourism to Japan. This is kind of the reason why I'm here for today. Japan and Singapore. This was in the news, and might be the start of it, right? Japan and Singapore resumes short-term business travel September 18th, which is, I believe, today or tomorrow, depending on where you live in the world. So Singaporeans can, if you have business in Japan, start to make travel here, start to make trips here. This is from Kyoto News. Japan will resume short-term business travel with Singapore starting September 18th, marking the first time that Tokyo has decided to allow entry of business people without requiring a 14-day self-isolation period, Foreign Minister Toshimitsu Motegi said Friday. So these business travelers that are coming in from Singapore don't need to have a 14-day mandatory quarantine or self-isolation period. Interesting. It will be an important step forward as Japan gradually resumes international travel. It's right here. Gradually resumes international travel. That's exciting. Motegi-san said at a news conference. This comes from the foreign minister. So they're thinking about it. There have been great business needs for travel between Japan and Singapore, such as in areas of finance and logistics. Singapore and Japan and Hong Kong, they're global centers. They're kind of very important pivotal places in the Asia region. So this is a good step forward. I have friends in Singapore that have been dying to get here to do business because Japan needs to have that face-to-face interaction, I think, for business relationships. So let me see here. Business exchanges will be allowed under conditions such as pre-departure and post-arrival corona testing. So people are going to be tested at the airport. Presentation of itinerary of stay. So you have to have a lot of documentation. You can come if you're a business traveler from Singapore, but it's not going to be easy. And why this is important is this is setting up a blueprint for foreign tourism to return to Japan. You can do it, I think, in spring. Maybe, I don't know, it depends on the numbers, but maybe in the spring. But it's going to have a lot of strings attached to it. It's not going to be just straightforward like it was in 2019. But once you get in, you're in. The resumption was announced in a joint statement by Motegi and his Singaporean counterpart, Vivian Balakrishnan, in which they said it will help restore connectivity and economic recovery. Japan's in a recession. They need this for the two countries. Japan has already restarted travel for expatriation. This is the next story. For long-term residents with Cambodian, Laos, Malaysia, Myanmar, Taiwan, Thailand, Vietnam. So long-term residents of these can now start to return into Japan, but in the arrangements they will have to stay at home for 14 days. So just Singaporean businessmen have quarantine-free travel. I think it has to have quarantine-free travel for international travel to begin, right? If you have to do a 14-day quarantine both into Japan and then when you get back to America, it's not going to work out. This is not going to be possible to do. So it's interesting that they're allowing Singaporean businessmen to be tested at the airport to come into Japan and not have to go through a 14-day quarantine period. That, again, is the blueprint, I believe, to returning to for foreign tourism to return. Japan is also in talks with Australia, Brunei, China, Hong Kong, Macau, Mongolia, New Zealand, and South Korea to ease travel restrictions. There it is. This is from Kyoto News. These countries are now in talks, which means that it could happen as early as, I don't know, the end of autumn. Just depends on the rates and where things are going. There's talk of a vaccine. There's lots of talk about the future. We're now 6 months in from where the situation was really, really bad to now where it's controlled. The situation is still really, really bad in the United States. Here in Japan, I believe it's really controlled because we have now all of the protection. At the registers, we have vinyl coverings. We have people who are following the social distancing. Everyone is wearing a mask inside of places. There are the 3 C's. There are policies. 3 C's means avoid closed spaces, avoid crowds, and avoid closed spaces, crowds. And there's another C, contact maybe, I don't know. But people are following these rules. We have them in place now to keep us safe. So I believe it's never really going to get up to like this huge number again because we can lock it down pretty quickly with the procedures that we have in place here in Japan. Your country might be different, okay? So that's a pretty significant development. We also have here people who are residents, and this was a big deal for people like me and for a lot of my friends that had gone home to the United States or gone home to Australia or to Europe because they had friends or family member that was sick or friends that needed them or a situation that required them to go back to their home country. They could not return to Japan. Starting in September this month, they've been able to get in touch with the government and make plans to return back. And a lot of people, not everybody has been able to return, but the process to do that, even if your visa has expired because of this, they're finding ways to bring people back. And this is very important. And this is very important to Suga, the new prime minister, Suga-san, who very much wants to make sure that there's a stronger relationship with the foreign community here in Japan. And that's what I honestly get that vibe from him, watching him and listening to him and the way he's setting up his government, which is a good thing. So an estimated of 87,000 foreign travelers in August. So Japan pretty much does not have a huge, and I'm going to get to your questions in a second here. I just want to get through this news. I think we said in April, May, and June we had about less than 2,000 foreign tourists to Japan. That was down from like millions the year before. Japan received 8,700 foreign travelers. So a lot of them are probably residents that found ways to get back into Japan. That's 99.7% down from a year earlier. So Japan's economy has been, especially the tourist industry, has been completely decimated. We've seen this in the buildings in Akihabara. I put up some videos twice going down there and looking at the buildings that have gone out of business. Those businesses, those iconic buildings, like the Akihabara Sega #2 building with those really funky escalator panels on the side of it, and then the hamster tube building right outside of Denki Town in Akihabara are out of business. Hopefully they return, maybe, I don't know. But it's sad to see there's another business in Shinjuku, another Labby electronics store has gone out of business. So that's kind of bad news to see this. A lot of local businesses in my area here have gone out of business. Ramen shops are gone. There's some sushi shops that are out of business. I was talking with other friends of mine who have the same thing, where shops or places that they love to go to are out of business. A lot of local businesses can't afford the rents anymore, so they're gone. And I think when you do come back to Japan, you're going to see a completely different country than you saw when the first time you came here many years ago. The drop in foreign tourism is a problem, and that's sort of why they had it. A lot of people are saying why this is Japan made a big mistake by investing too heavily on foreign tourists, but we have a shrinking population here in Japan, and everybody, the majority of the population is over the age of like 50. So tourism is an investment in their future, and there's going to be hits where travel goes up and travel goes down, and there's going to be booms like where travel is incredible and travel is like today. And I think that Japan realizes this and is adjusting. One of the things that they're promoting now is micro-tourism, meaning like Tokyoites can travel maybe 30 minutes to places around the Kanto area like Ibaraki or Saitama or Shizuoka, and travel just to these ryokans and local businesses in their neighborhoods, because this would help a great deal. If all of the people in my neighborhood would just go and support our own local areas instead of buying things on Amazon, we would probably save a lot of businesses, although Amazon is very convenient. There's a month-to-month pickup though in tourism to Japan. So I don't know how the tourists are getting in. I just know that somehow they get visas and travel exemptions to come into Japan, and a lot of people that don't mind the 14-day quarantine. I'll put a link in the description. JNTO still has the most comprehensive website for if your visa, if your country, if your nationality is allowed to come in. JNTO is the Japan National Tourism Organization. So it's a lot of people aren't allowed in here. Leo X is here. 777 Cascade. Your videos are informative and entertaining. Keep it up. Nice balcony. Thank you. It's plastic tree, both of them. I'm not here a lot to water them. I wouldn't want any tree to go through what they have to live here. Irvan's in the house. How you doing, Irvan? Tony P. John, thanks for keeping us updated. It's very much appreciated. You're very welcome. And Beth Aidala, welcome, a new member, a new traveler. Much appreciated for all the support, everybody. It's awesome. Yeah. The Go-To Travel campaign is open now for Tokyoites, and this is something that I don't know. It was tough for me because now Go-To Travel is an incentive program. We are allowed to travel outside of Tokyo now. I've been doing that for a while. It's not that wasn't the reason. Just because the Go-To Travel was not allowed for Tokyoites, it didn't mean that Tokyoites could not travel. I just had to pay full price for my Shinkansen, which meant that a lot of people didn't travel naturally. And it's a good way to do things. So I had to pay full price while people living in Kanagawa got to pay half price, for example. Go To Travel is a campaign that incentivizes people to travel. It's half price on hotels, half price on Shinkansen, half price on restaurants. You can collect your receipts and you can send them to the government and they will give you the money back up to a certain amount. Tokyoites have been excluded from this program until now. And I was up in Fukushima with my friend Greg from a channel called Life Where I'm From. We had a great trip up there. We rented a van from Dream Drive, a camper. We drove up there and we talked to a lot of local areas in Fukushima, ryokans, because we were filming about onsen. And I asked them, I said, are you full? What's it been like before and what does the future look like? And they told me that they've been really hurting, but the Go To Travel campaign has really helped. It's brought in more tourists, but still not a lot of people are traveling yet. Despite the efforts of the government to get people to travel, a lot of Japanese are still very weary of leaving at all. And that's a good thing. That means that the majority of people are staying inside, are not traveling despite this. But it's hurting the economy as well. However, he told me that in September until the end of this campaign, they are completely booked. A lot of the places have, they're sold out and they open up the next day and then people book it really quickly because it's 50% off, especially luxury hotels. The last onsen that we filmed was in Tsuchiyu Onsen in Fukushima, beautiful place. And he told me that the hotel was booked through November. And because I wanted to go there with Kanai, I said, this would be great. We'll have like a little, we finally can get out and do something sort of normal vacation, but not at that hotel. It's completely booked. So I'm starting to see, because the Tokyoites are included in this, places are booking out, and that's kind of a good thing, I think, for the economy. So I wasn't too upset, but I was slightly upset because I wanted to go there. I did. It's really beautiful. I can't really afford it, but it's like I've been saving a lot of money more than usual because you just can't go anywhere. And I don't know. I haven't been making as much money, but I still can't go out and spend it either. It's been really tough. So the Go To Travel campaign, let's see here. It started on, let's see here. Okay. Japan travel agencies and hotels began Friday accepting reservations for domestic trips to and from Tokyo. It starts on October 1st under government subsidy programs. So you can make the reservations, but you cannot actually travel until October 1st. I should tell Kanai to get on that. The central government hopes the Go To Travel incentive, which currently offers a 35% discount and will cover half of travelers' costs from October 1st, will stimulate domestic travel hit hard by the pandemic. Yeah, it's necessary for both travel operators and travelers to take thorough steps to prevent the spread of the new coronavirus. When I was traveling through Fukushima and through some of the smaller towns coming around here up in the fringe of Tohoku, people, I'm trying to think how to put this. People are a little bit worried, but they're also worried about their future and their financial health. They're worried about, of course, catching the virus, but there's a worry that's stronger to them than catching the virus. It is having to close their business, having to not being able to support their family, and they can't get any more government subsidies. The government's doing what it can by encouraging travel. These people are more scared by their financial future than actually catching this virus. And that's a tough situation. There's no win, right? You cannot hide in your closet unless you completely don't want to get this, or you're over a certain age, or you have pre-existing conditions. They really want people to travel to these countries, these areas of Japan. They're worried, of course, but they also know that this is their future. If they can't keep and maintain the rent and the contracts that they have and try to keep the business going, they're going to go under, like a lot of businesses we've already seen, and we can't let that happen. So it's kind of a tough decision for a lot of people to make. Japanese typically are very cautious. So despite the savings, many people who want to travel probably are kind of holding back a little bit, and maybe over time despite the Shinkansen being full, maybe this will come back a little bit. Yeah. Land, Infrastructure, Transport, Tourism Ministry plans to request travel firms and accommodation facilities not to charge cancellation fees, which with the losses to be covered by the state. So if you cancel, the reason why not to cancel, not to have a cancellation fee is that if there's a cancellation fee and you feel like you're sick, you might have it, but you have to pay if you don't go, then most people won't go. But there's a percentage of people that will go because, look, they're going to charge me if I don't go, I have to go. So that's why they're waiving cancellation fees, and the state is picking it up because if one person goes, it creates a cluster, and that means a lot of other people in the state can get infected and cause massive economic impact for that area. So it's a smart thing for the government, this local government, to recompensate for cancellation charges. And Japanese are pretty responsible and don't just cancel at the last minute unless there's usually a very good reason for it. Jennifer French is here. Thank you for the informative travel updates. You're doing a great job. Thank you. And the final pause just joined the travelers. Welcome. You've unlocked the fireworks emoji. And soon you're going to have scary dog emoji. It's kind of scary. Yeah. Tokyo's situation is still the worst in Japan, and I think a lot of you know that. Here's a chart. Kyoto News has been a really great English resource where you can get what's going on. I'm gonna turn it around here. So here's the infections by prefecture. It started off in Hokkaido. You can see Tokyo by April was the new champion, and it continued to go up. On the bottom, this is a really nice interactive chart. On the bottom of it, you can see the total dates from March 1st, and on the top you can see the bar graph as Tokyo just accelerates. If this were a 100-meter race, yeah, there is no contest. One thing that you do need to notice is that despite the spikes, the numbers are still pretty, the numbers are not out of control. So that's a good thing. It's not like whoosh, 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 whoosh. It's just like this. So situation is worrying, but it's still not I don't know, out of control is the best way to put it. So that's pretty much the news. When can people travel to Japan? Oh, okay, well, there's some more stuff. I found another page. All right, okay, there's more. Japanese milk manufacturers are switching to cartons with plastic caps. So milk cartons now have plastic caps on them instead of the other way to do it, which was paper, so that they can reduce possible infections as consumers no longer need to come in contact with the pouring surface when they open the container. So now you get to just poop. There's a little plastic cap on it. Meiji Milk was the first one to do this. It's kind of neat, the little caps that they came up to fight coronavirus. Milk industry doing its part. Good job, milk industry. National parks across Japan have improved internet access. I'm gonna test this out in November when I go to a park to film to try to help promote Japan's national parks. I'm going in November to film in an area. I'm gonna test out this story. Internet access has totally improved, taken other steps to attract teleworkers as the coronavirus pandemic has increased interests in workcation. I don't know if this word's gonna stick. It's a work vacation, a workcation. So people like me don't need to stay at home to do video editing or to get things done. They can work remotely with the internet. And Japan is encouraging people like me to travel more, and they're putting in better internet access in the national parks. I guess you could go out and sit underneath the trees and there's going to be 5G or something. A vacation that combines business and leisure in which people work remotely at their destinations. I might do this more and more in 2020 and 2021 because it helps the local economies. If I'm staying in an Airbnb, if I'm eating at a restaurant that's local, if I'm trying my best to support businesses but staying really safe and keeping them safe, then everybody sort of wins, and I get a chance to relax. The Japanese government has decided to set up a system to exempt athletes competing at next year's Tokyo Olympics and Paralympic Games from entry restrictions currently placed on 159 countries and regions due to the novel coronavirus that forced the games postponement. Sources familiar with the matter said Friday. So if you're an Olympic athlete, you're watching this, welcome. And you will be exempt from, you will have access to come to Japan. So Japan's working on this like almost a year out. So you're going to be fine coming into Japan. The games are going to go on, as they've said. A lot of people, again, like have told me, Japan should not be, I don't know what voice you use in your country, so I'm just using a very general newsman voice. Japan should not be holding the Olympics. It's irresponsible because of the pandemic. And then you see the numbers and say Japan has like 77,000 over America's 6.5 million. Maybe America's testing more, but still, even with those percentages, it's still a drop in the bucket. I think Japan's precautions will be just fine. I don't think anything's going to massively happen. And I think in a year's time, there'll be even better medical ways to treat people. People will be in and out of the hospital a lot faster. There might be new drugs. Who knows what's going to be happening in 9 months' time, but it can only get better and not worse unless the thing mutates, and then there's lots of things that could go wrong. Basically, I don't really know. All I know is that I'm going to keep bringing you with me, and as long as I have internet access, you're here in Japan with me, and I'll be taking you to places all over the country, because I'm going to be starting to travel down to Kyushu and Shikoku and other islands over the next 3 to 6 months. Your support is really great. Thank you, Naj. You need to look at numbers per capita, not just total infections. Yeah, I see that too, but even no matter any way you look at this, the numbers are ridiculously low compared to worldwide numbers in Tokyo. Do I trust them 100%? I don't trust any of the numbers 100%. You should never trust anything 100%. You should always have a grain of salt on it, okay? Just a little bit of skepticism in any kind of a number, all right? Because there's always reasons why it might be off. But I don't know how over from February to September, you know, the numbers can stay pretty reasonably low, and despite the number of testing, you see the number of people coming up. Even if it was, maybe it's double this, it's still really, really low. So I think Japan's going to be just fine. You can disagree with me. That's cool. That's what social media is for right here. It's a social media. Penguin Desu. John, in a Tokyo Drew live stream from a few months ago, he says you lied and went shopping off camera during your stay at home. Would he know? First of all, and I'm not in contact with this creator, so. Hope everyone's doing well. I will take some questions now. If you have something specific about travel to Japan, I'll see if I can help you. And we will see if we can come up with some sort of answers based on my incredible knowledge of 23 years of living in Japan and traveling around the country over the last few months. Invited, by the way. Really, I have Akira great anime. Are these questions for each other or for me? If you don't have any questions for me, when is the next Twitch stream? As soon as I can set up, I just got a new computer. As soon as I can set that up with OBS and get it rolling. Enka songs, Canada Loud. Look, come on, guys, stay on topic. Does anyone here and know here that the anime? I have no idea about anime. We have a group on Discord that knows. Hey John, okay, very good one. Here, Jane Albert, great. Hey John, any advice on where to get started with photography, and especially travel photography, like making money in photography while traveling? It's a tough one. I don't know. Advice to get started with photography? Pick up a book on it. I learned how to video software editing from a book, but I think you could YouTube or Google YouTube, and getting started with photography, you get a bunch of stuff. I mean, I got a lot of friends that are travel photographers, but I don't know what their websites are or resources. What's it like even getting through the airport now? I went there about 3 months ago, taking a friend, Simon, back to the airport. And afterwards, Kanai and I were, we were shocked at how empty it was. And there wasn't anybody coming in, and And even on that flight, there was like, I think like a half dozen people. So it was really sad actually to see a lot of the businesses were open, but nobody was in there. So I think though that it is increasing because Japan lifted the restrictions for foreign residents, permanent residents that are residents of Japan could not come back for months. And they can finally start to come back, or start the procedures. So I think we're going to be seeing more and more the airport starting to recover a little bit. And with the procedures in place, it should keep us safer. But again, there's like no perfect system here. The economy cannot continue to be decimated. And my feeling, this is my opinion, I think that there is some sort of wakuchin or vaccine really close on the horizon. And who knows, there could be another pandemic. Anything can happen, all right? I'm somebody who's going to be staying very optimistic and looking for answers and not trying to be a doomsday person and saying the worst case scenario, this is everybody should hide in their closets. No more government subsidies are coming, so these people really need us to help them. And we really need to keep them safe. That's our responsibility as people that are responsible human beings in society, all right? No plans yet from what I've read. I like how you guys talk to each other. Which national parks do you plan to travel to? Probably going down to Daisen in November to cover the autumn foliage, but there's a couple of stories that I want to cover, and I'll be taking with me on Only in Japan Go to Mount Daisen and Totori and Shimane in the beginning of November. So we have a pretty busy autumn with travel, and yeah, I have a face shields when I travel now on the Shinkansen that I use when I go into certain places that require them. I have equipment for different situations to try to keep us safe. It's very, very hard, and I think Japan is getting better to equipped for tourism to restart in the next year. I don't think if you have like a student visa or you're supposed to come into Japan, I think it's going to be really hard to get in here. But if you're coming as a student or something, contact the embassy. If you have a flight coming up, contact the embassy just to make sure. Whew, a lot of stuff. Baseball clip-on face shields, yeah. All of these things, little teeny things that add a barrier. No, they're not 100%. Yes, you can argue with me on what I look like. That's fine. Nothing is 100%. You are, a know-it-all person. You know everything, so you can tell me exactly what I should be doing to be out there safe. But you're at home. It's a different situation. We do everything that we possibly can to keep the people safe around us, meaning right now, face coverings and distance work really, really well. It's not a reason to stay in your house indefinitely. Try to go out when there's less people around. Try to see on Google Maps. I like to see where things are at peak operating hours and stuff like this. So you can kind of go out at times where you can keep social distancing. I don't go out on the weekends in Tokyo, very rarely. I might if I need something in the supermarket, but I know that the weekends are the times that everybody's out, so I'm going to be staying at home. It's the same here in Japan. Any plans for Christmas? Glenn, I really, really, really wish I could go back home, but it looks like it's not going to be possible. I don't see it happening. I can't do 14-day quarantine in the United States and then do 14-day quarantine coming back to Japan for what I do, so it's going to be very hard. Tokyo Marathon, Anthony, I would say about 85 to 90% chance it'll be canceled, or just the top runners from like the top runners that can run under 2 hours and 20 minutes will be participating again this year. I'm pretty sure that they're not going to hold it any kind of a mass thing until there's a vaccine or there's at least some sort of remedy. The Olympics is one thing because it's already planned and it's far enough in the future. February 2021 is just around the corner. It's 5 months away, less than 5 months away to the marathon. So I don't think virtual marathon, that would be fun to watch that. That'd be fun to watch that. Does anyone here know that Akira, thanks so much for these Akira updates. I don't know what you're talking about. On the Discord server, go in there. We have an anime chat group, which a lot of people who know all this stuff in there. I know a great deal, but there's some things that I don't know a lot about. if you do go into there, that kind of fills in the gaps between things that I have no idea about. Jerry, my marathon time is 3 hours and 12 minutes. It's not great, but it's not bad. Yeah, thanks Nosh Abroad. Keep the conversation going. Discord.gg/only in Japan. We're very close to 10,000 Discord users. It's a community, right? And we have a really cool place where you can chat in live time, anytime, about Japan. Discord is, you have to download the app, but it's a very safe and secure place where you can chat about Japan, share photos, share stories, and talk after the pandemic of where really some of the hot spots are, or make sure you don't miss a festival, for example. You can share things like sort of Facebook's, it's not Facebook, Lonely Planet had something called the Thorn Tree, where travelers were conversing with one another to find places, new places that weren't in the guidebook. This is sort of like a thorn tree for only in Japan, and for travelers and people that are very much interested in Japan and stories and learning Japanese. And we have a special Patreon group, which is much smaller, where people kind of know each other pretty well too. Yeah, always new people coming into there. And thank you so much to our Patreon supporters. Big shout out to them. See a lot of them here. Good afternoon from New Zealand. There's not a lot of questions on COVID here. Hoping for an evening live stream. I try to do it just like Lali Hululi Leo. Like, I don't even know, you didn't even write where you're from, so I don't know what evening means for you. So, like, right now it's afternoon here in Japan. So the time you're on is not the time other people are. You have to say where you're from. Leo, next year, John, do a live stream at the opening and closing of the Olympics. I'm working on that. If you make hand gestures, it's a very strong point. I think I will somehow be able to go. I have several things in motion. It's like the universe revolving around it. There's more than one planet, right? Fireworks update, Joy, it's coming today. I promised everybody within 24 hours yesterday. I got a lot of questions, and I've been actually, so the Fireworks Festival, for those who backed the Kickstarter project, it's nice to see you guys are here. That's going to be taking place on October 10th, which is like 3 weeks away. How exciting is that? We have a manufacturer who's making it. I've already gone to Omagari to film the factory. I saw him making the shakudama. I saw him making the balls, and he asked me for the music. So I'm going to be using the only in Japan music that I use in the episodes to launch these fireworks, which is going to be so amazing. I almost said killer. I guess you can't say that with fireworks. Amazing. Killer meaning like there's some explosion or something. But I'm going to be putting GoPros and other cameras all around the area and showing you in 4K different viewpoints for those that supported the documentary. And I'll be live streaming all of this on Only in Japan Go, okay? So you're going to get a chance to come with me on Only in Japan Go. And even if you didn't support the Kickstarter project, the fireworks are brought to you by our community. And those who supported are going to get a really amazing documentary on this, seeing behind the scenes of the fireworks being created, as well as the setting up of it. How do they launch the fireworks into the cannons? They've given me full access. I could launch myself if I wanted to, I think. But that option is there. We'll see. We'll see. I'm going to Akita on October 9th, the day that the Sony a7S III is going to be coming to my house. So I probably will not be able to use the new camera for the fireworks festival, which stinks. Low light would be pretty awesome, but I can't get my Sony a7S III to me in time. So I'll be traveling with a Panasonic Lumix S5 camera and my GH5 and GH4 and 3 GoPros. And an arrangement of very good microphones to record the audio from different points, one with the music and one without. So we're gonna get some really good audio, ASMR quality audio of the fireworks exploding. Drones is something that I discussed, and there's a possibility, but we will see on the day of the fireworks. I'm not sure how much better it is. I think you have to go over the fireworks to get the perspective of the fireworks exploding and the ground being there to tell that it's different. But unless you're flying the drone through the fireworks, it's not really it doesn't really look too much different than being in a really high apartment building looking at the fireworks. All right. To do drone shots with the fireworks, you have to have a new point of view, either flying through it or flying over it. So that's that. Irvan, the glass for A7S3. I'm definitely getting a 12 to 24. I'm not sure if it's going to be the f2.8 or the f4.0. The 2.8 is pretty expensive. I'm looking at the 24 to 70, but again, like the 2.8 is really, really heavy and bulky and not good for the kind of travel that I do. The 1635 looks great, but again, like for sitting at a table and eating ramen where there's very confined space, I think having a 12 millimeter lens is a lot better than having a 16 millimeter lens, so that's more useful. And probably a prime, maybe an 85 1.4 or that 135 1.8. My friend Simon said that that's the most amazing lens that he's ever seen in his entire life and loves that lens. I don't know, he takes selfie pictures with that lens. It's weird. I'm not interested in the A7C. I think it's not good enough. I'd rather have the Panasonic 5S because Panasonic is really good. Just the autofocus. I don't do a lot of autofocus anyways. I do manual focus. Just touch, you're focused. I don't know why people rely on autofocus. I'm not a vlogger. Smartphones are good. 5G, I don't think we had that in Omagari yet. But if the iPhone comes out that has 5G, I'll be able to bring 5G live streams. But I think though, I don't think it's impossible, but none of the apps take advantage of 5G to bring you a higher signal. Right now I'm limited by the YouTube app. So a lot of people complain about 720p. That's limited by YouTube throttling it because they know if the signal dies down a little bit, a HD live stream looks awful, but a 720p looks okay. So it's a compromise to use 720p. If you're pixel peeping, then you miss the story, okay? Everyone's, oh, look at the pixels. You're missing the point. The story is more important. My best work, I'll be using like a crappy smartphone sometimes, and I'll use a really good camera to get opening shots and beauty shots, but I'll use the camera that's in my pocket that's most convenient because that's what travel is about. You can't always have like a $100,000 budgeted documentary with cameraman, boom guy, driver. We don't have that kind of a luxury. We have to work with the tools that we have. So it's never going to be perfect unless you have a budget, like for massive productions. And even when you do, it takes 6 times longer because you have to explain everybody to a team of people and bring them with you. It's not easy for travel. It gets very expensive. What's for lunch? I don't know. Kanai's teaching. I'm going to have to cook something, I think. Not sure. Maybe something with rice. Maybe nikujaga. I can make a good nikujaga. Curry rice is good. No, don't know. What are your weekend plans? None of this has to do about you traveling to Japan. Question for you. Have you just given up on traveling to Japan? No one is asking questions about like this. Have you all just given up and you're just interested in my life? Is this what's happened? This is kind of the vibe I'm getting. Are tourist visitors still required to quarantine for 2 weeks? If that's the case, I won't be traveling anywhere soon. I'm loving it. That seems to be the procedure. And I think governments, which are elected by the local people, have that in place because to allow tourists just to come in without a quarantine scares the living crap out of people. I mean, would you want it if you lived in the countryside of the U.S.? Would you want your regional government to allow everybody in without having some kind of protection or quarantine? The reason why is because testing at the airports is not being done. Once testing at the airports start to come on, maybe we can talk about not having it. I don't know. Maybe having just a 7-day quarantine or a 3-day quarantine and then having another test. I don't know what kind of procedure governments are going to be putting in place, but right now the 14-day quarantine is the safest for the local population. The problem is that a lot of people still go outside. Any ideas if the border relaxations being considered by Japan would apply to... I think I just talked about this. They've already... If you are a permanent resident or a resident of Japan or a student returning, you can now get in touch with the embassy and work out coming back even if your visa expired and you have a job that you have to return to, or you have family here, you can get in touch with the embassy and they'll find a way to get you back to Japan. That's part of the push from the new prime minister is pushing this through as well. I think it's something that he really cares about. So having Suga-san as prime minister has shaken things up a little bit. Not a lot, but a little bit. And that's one thing, getting this country back from this pandemic. He's got a lot of energy, this prime minister. He might not show it, but he's got a lot of energy. He's everywhere. Our hostels and capsule hotels dying now? The hostels are mostly closed. I walked through Kuramai, which is an area of Tokyo where there's a lot of hostels. Backpackers would stay in Kuramai in Tokyo. Almost all of them that I saw were closed. They have the gates down and a sign on there saying that they're closed. So, yeah, it's a bad situation for all travel, budget travel. Capsule hotels are pretty much mostly empty. There's always going to be some travel for domestic business, but the places that were dependent on foreign tourism now have mostly domestic foreign tourists staying there. There's about 1 million foreign residents of Japan. A lot of them might be English teachers that might be traveling and staying at those capsule hotels, but they're not foreign tourists. They're like Japanese residents staying in there. Are you going to miss Shinzo Abe? Yeah, I'm not a political person. I don't push my politics on anybody, and he had no world leader has an easy job. None of them do. They have a lot of really tough decisions to make. He was, I can say this about Abe Shinzo, and this is the way he thinks. He's very traditional. He's the one who's pushed through this thing where Japanese name, the last name comes first and the first name comes last. I'm John Daub in America. I'm Daub John in Japan. So Abe Shinzo is somebody who was very traditional and was trying hard to protect the Japanese traditions, and I think that is very commendable. Through globalization, kids and younger people were forgetting who they were and forgetting their own traditions. So that's kind of a good thing. The older generation, he saw that, and I think he was pushing not to globalize everything, but to keep Japan's charms about it. He didn't do such a great job the first time he was prime minister, and he came back and he learned from his mistakes, and I believe everybody has the power to make a comeback, right? And Japan, above all, needed a leader that was there for more than 1 year. After Koizumi left, we had a prime minister every year or less. Some people didn't lasted like a few months, I think. I remember Fukuda, Taro Aso was prime minister for a while. That didn't go particularly well, but I think having somebody who is a rock, whether you agreed with him or not, and really kind of made things a little bit more stable, was very healthy and good for Japan. And I hope that the new prime minister, Suga-san, can stay for a while too. He's from Akita Prefecture, and I think he's got that Tohoku spirit. He seems to be a really down-to-earth guy, and he worked really hard to get where he was. His father was not a prime minister. He worked his way up to the top, and I think that's a good thing for everybody, because he can kind of maybe relate a little bit better. But Abe Shinzo did a pretty good job of relating to people too. It's a humbling job. It takes a toll on it. Imagine the guy didn't take a vacation for like a year, right? It's crazy. He didn't take any time off, which is why his health deteriorated. What's your favorite place in Kyushu? I don't know. I love the whole island. Kagoshima and Miyazaki, I like the southern parts of it, but it's hard not to like Oita with its onsens and its chicken. It's got a pretty interesting sake culture compared to the rest of Kyushu. Fukuoka is a great city. Saga Prefecture and Nagasaki are good. Kumamoto is incredible. I don't know. It's all pretty good. Beppu is just one of the many onsen towns. Yeah. All right, I see that there's no more. There's all travel questions. There's nothing left on. There's nothing left on COVID. What? What's going on here? Coffee Dude. Here's for some Akita beef. Any plans in the future for more Totori Prefecture? Coffee Dude, I'm going to Totori November 3rd to 5th, I believe. It's in my schedule. Hold on a second. November 3rd to 5th, I believe. I'm going to film the national parks. So, yeah, we'll be in, I'll probably get to Matsue. I don't think I'm going to Izumo. Matsue, Mihonoseki, Yonago, and Daisen, this area. I'll be there for a few days filming. I love Totori. I love Totori very much. It's one of my favorite prefectures because the people are down to earth. There's not a lot of tourists, and they have some pretty incredible food, especially around that Daisen area. Really love that region, and it's a place that not a lot of people know about, or they miss out because it's kind of off the beaten track, which is why you should go. What boat issue like there? What do you mean? Get specifics. Will Japan allow international tourists to come next year? Sophie, I believe so. I think it looks like it's going to be in spring 2021. Maybe after the cherry blossoms. We're just not sure. It's all about testing and being able to test somebody before they get on the airplane to secure the safety of the other passengers, and having a rapid test that takes 30 minutes. When you check in, you get tested. And then after you get a ticket. This is my idea. You get tested when you check in or enter, and you get a number associated with that test. You have to keep that number, and when you go through immigrations, you have to show that number, and they'll have the test results to make sure that you don't have any antibodies for this. And then when you arrive in Japan, 15 hours later, you have to do another test. It's just a double test, and then if you pass that, I believe you can come in. It's not 100%. Somebody can still get sick, but it's the best that we have. Japan needs tourism to continue. I think only business travels are allowed for the next month. Yeah, Singapore right now, Joshua. How do you like Takamatsu Kagawa? I was there with the food ranger, Trevor, last year in October, I believe, during a typhoon. And I rented a car, and I drove Trevor and Ting, his wife, and Cody, who is Japan Ramen Guide, really great guy. We drove the four of us to Kagawa Prefecture to eat noodles. I suggested to Trevor, who was doing a noodle tour, if you're going to eat noodles in Japan, you got to go to Kagawa. So we went to Zensuji to meet the old lady who Minagawa-san, who made Trevor some homemade udon. He loved that place. Then we drove over to Takamatsu and spent the night there. Trevor's such a nice guy. He paid for the hotel for us. Then we ate at a curry udon place in Takamatsu, which is on his channel. You can go check it out on the Food Ranger. I think I'm in a couple of, maybe 3 or 4 episodes of Food Ranger show in that trip. Awesome. We had also olive wagyu that we ate, which is incredible. I didn't taste the olives, but it did have a little bit of a different salty taste to it. Kind of a different complexity to it, but it didn't taste like olives. Yeah. Carlette, welcome to the first live stream. Jari, the Food Ranger, is a YouTuber. He lives in Malaysia now, but he's used to be in China. Is there a lot of COVID testing being done in Japan? Irvan, that's a good question. According to the data here that I showed a little bit earlier, the blue line is the testing. All right, this blue line represents the number of tests. This starts in April, May, June, July, August. So the amount of testing being done has increased, and so have the number of people with the infections. But I don't trust these numbers 100%, but I don't think that they can be more than double that. So even if that's the case, Japan has just maybe like 2% of what America's problem is, and having just a little bit less than half of the population. How long is Amioka Market? I believe it's less than a kilometer, but almost that. I think it was like 900 meters or something. It's pretty long. Yeah, increased testing is the way to go. I'm gonna sign off because you guys don't have any. You guys just want to know about my ideas on travel. This isn't so much a Q&A. Is Japan working on a vaccine? They are, but they also have partnerships with GlaxoSmithKline and some other pharmaceutical companies to get the first vaccines. So we will see. If Japan gets it, then we give it to these countries, and if they get it, then they give it to these countries, and they're sort of a partner. AstraZeneca, yeah, Irvan. That's one of them. Matthias Gunnar, for a 7-day trip to Tokyo, what onsen do you recommend for foreigners? I recommend don't do a 7-day trip to Tokyo. Why wouldn't you leave Tokyo for foreigners? I think you should get on a train, make a reservation at Takaragawa Onsen, and get out of Tokyo, or go up to Tohoku, go up to Fukushima, not along the coast, but go into the mountains. That's where Greg and I went just 2 days ago, and it was so beautiful. The ryokans and the natural scenery there is what you pay for. When you go to an onsen, and Tokyo does have some onsen in the west. Tokyo Prefecture is pretty big. You can go west pretty far, and there are onsen, but there's no reason to stay in Tokyo. You can go up to Fukushima, even for a day trip, and do the onsen there. But I don't recommend staying in Tokyo. If you're thinking of going to a traditional Japanese inn, you can do that. But for onsen, you want nature. So unless you're going to Okutama or like these regions, go up to Fukushima, where the volcanic activity and the geothermal waters are so much better, as well as down in Shizuoka maybe. Itohanto, Hakone also has some really good ones, which is a day trip from Tokyo you could do. But no reason to stay in the city. I tell people to maybe stay 1 or 2 days in Tokyo, spend the rest of the time out of the city. That's where Japan really is, outside of Tokyo. Tokyo's a cool city, it's exciting, but the heart of the country is out there. Niigata, I love Niigata. I don't think there's a prefecture that I hate, so when do you expect things to normalize? 2022. How about that? Kinosaki Onsen is one onsen town. There's maybe like 1,000 onsen towns. I wanted to buy a ticket to Japan around March, April 2021. Will it be possible? I don't know. I think that's the bubble from when tourism will normalize. It just all depends on testing. All right? We can say vaccine, but testing will be the biggest criteria for them to decide whether or not you can get it. Even if there's a vaccine, you have to have testing. Okay? If you don't have the testing, how you need a document that says you have the vaccine. Yeah, you still need proof. You need to have tests. So the testing, they have to find a way to do rapid, like 30-second testing, like touch and I don't know how they do it. I don't know the science behind it, but without rapid testing, tourism is very, very hard on the scale from 2019. I don't think tourism is going to be the same after this. I think it's going to take 3 or 4 years before we get back to something like 2019. It's just we're all going to have to swallow hard on the new procedures to get in from one country to another. It's going to be a little bit harder. Yeah, I got a lot of onsen live streams, so you can check that out. I should probably start a playlist. Thanks for bringing that up. I'll start a playlist on Only in Japan. Is testing free in Japan? That's a good question. I think it covered in insurance, but you have to pay the premium, which is 10%. I think it's pretty cheap. I don't think it's free, but if we can get them cheaper and faster and more accurate, that's the key to everything. It really is. Dharma is truth. John, can I travel to Japan with minor non-drug convictions from late teenager years, so about a decade ago? I think so. Why not? Look, your crime shouldn't have to follow you around forever. What you did as a teenager is what you did as a teenager. I don't think that defines who you are as an adult. People have kids, change, people grow up. I don't think so. There's a place where if you're a minor, I think that you don't have to report anything. But if you've been convicted in Japan, I think that's what they put on the immigration forms, then you have to put yes. As long as those drug convictions weren't in Japan. And I hope that, stay off the sauce, man. But everybody changes a little bit. the way their perceptions. I don't think you have to declare your criminal record on arrival card. Yeah, it's been so it's been so long since we've had to fill out an arrival card. It's hard to remember back to those days where we had to do it. What was on there? The one thing that, okay, I can tell you this, okay. The one thing that I always had a problem with all arrival cards is that space that says occupation. Like, what job do you put in there for YouTube creator? What job do you put in there? And the answer is professional. It's what somebody told me from Singapore. It says you're a professional. So whenever I go in there, I don't put YouTuber, I put professional. You can't put YouTuber, you put professional, because that's what you are. You're kind of a, no, you don't put YouTuber. Media professional, maybe. No, Jay Wong, who wrote that? No, you don't put that. It's instant arrestation upon entry. Online entertainer. These sound dubious. Internet media producer. TV destroyer. I like that. You can put sometimes there's just a box where you can check, okay? Sometimes you can't even pick in those cases, because then you can write anything that you want. Bunny, rabbit whisperer, or hamster trainer. You can write anything that you want. So sometimes they have check boxes, and the one that you check is professional. So I'm not an influencer. If you're influenced by that, that's not my... when they say your profession, and this is why I hate that word influencer, all right? I don't do this to influence you. Okay? So I never call myself an influencer. All these media people have told me, like, oh, do you do influencer work? I'm like, no, I make stories. I'm not a vlogger. This is kind of a vlog, but I don't say like, hey world, hey guys, how you doing? I'm John, I'm in Shibuya, look at Shibuya, I'm gonna go eat lunch. I do that only in Japan Go, but that's not what I would consider my profession. This is a program. Only in Japan is a program format. It's not a vlog. A vlog is a video blog, all right? Like on your daily life and stuff like this. I'm not a vlogger. I never considered myself a vlogger. People say, I like your vlog. I'm like, really? I don't know. This might be a vlog. Oh, this is live streaming to me. A streamer. But I'm a midnight snack runner. Is this a song? Streamer, midnight snack runner. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Professional media content creator. That's so long. Can I just put PMCC? Or PMC squared? Is that good? You guys have some pretty good ideas here. Yeah. Camera talker. Stick talker, because it looks like I'm talking to a stick. Daniel LaRusso stand-in. Animal whisperer. Are you guys just teasing me now? Independent journalist. Kanai's husband. Hubby. What? You guys are just trolling me now. I know how to deal with trolls. So you move on. You ignore them. Ignore them. When can you come back to Japan? Let's put a ribbon on this, because I love talking with you guys here. I don't know. I can tell you right now, I can see more the light at the end of the tunnel now than I could in summer. Any prediction right now is conjecture at best. You don't know. This thing could change. It could, the situation could be different in a month. It could get better. Things could rapidly change. Something can happen. I don't know. A meteor falls out of the sky. There's a lot of what ifs. All I know is Japan's rates are pretty stable at somewhere around, in Tokyo, somewhere between like 75 and 200 a day, which is really amazing for a cosmopolitan city that's one of the most crowded in the world. People are pretty responsible with wearing masks and social distancing. You know, we take responsibility when we're in crowded places, and we've all studied this really hard, and I think that that's going to show when the Olympics are held here, and we really hope that people, not a lot of tourists are going to be able to come to the Olympics, not like what was planned, but we do know one thing for sure. Japan is going to be ready for them. This we can guarantee. Maybe driverless taxi cabs will be going around. A lot of things to minimize interactions. A lot of robots, people. I've got an episode that I'm working on this. A lot of robots will be filling in for jobs that humans could be doing. Convenience store workers, they won't even be there. You'll be able to buy your purchases by scanning it and paying it with a card that is loaded with money. You don't even have money anymore to touch. All you have is a card that you just touch and you can pay for things, all right? There's lots of services like PayPay, EC cards, things like this. Greg was using PayPay, a new service in Japan. There's D-Card from Docomo. There's lots of different ways to pay. Nobody's using cash in Japan. Well, very few people. They just touch and go at convenience stores more and more. So I think what you're going to see at the Olympics is more robots, less people in service jobs, and more people self-checking in and self-doing things themselves. More scanners. You're going to see Japan's technology at the forefront of it, and it's not going to be what you think it's going to be. It never is. Well, sometimes it is. It never is. Cobra Bebop. Hey, Cobra Bebop! Long time no see. I like your videos, but my favorite are the Midnight Snack Runs. I don't know what it is about them that makes them so much fun. Seeing a man eating at midnight, it's always fun. Especially if it's a sandwich this big. Pickles. Lots of pickles. Irvan, go out and get something instead of cooking. I'm going to do that, actually. Thanks, Irvan. It's good to have Irvan looking after me. Baby metal at the Olympics would be that. I'm actually would love that. Me and my friend Danny from Canada. Danny's a huge baby metal fan. Suzuka, he loves Suzuka. We are lobbying hard for baby metal for the Olympics. That should be the opening. Forget like dun 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 dun. Forget that song. It's baby metal. All right, and Mario. Combine them. Mario Brothers and baby metal. Mario Brothers music with baby metal. It's awesome. Tanya and Tio, awesome. Yeah. It's like rocket. Put the metal in the pedal. Mario metal. Yeah. What is baby metal? Joy. What are you saying? This is. Was I supposed to end this? All right. This is also typhoon season. It looks like it's going to be raining soon, so I better go out and get something for Kanai before she gets back. I'm supposed to actually, Irvan, you saved my neck here because I'm supposed to actually have lunch cooked by the time she gets back. I don't think I can do that, so I can go out and get something from a takeout shop because I know one on the corner which is really good that she likes, and she'll forgive me for that. I still got to cook dinner, I think. Yeah, I still got to cook yakisoba pan. I don't know if I'll get that, but it's pretty good. Lunch streams. I don't know about that. Don't make ramen. Nosh! Oh, by the way, I send out the daimyo packages. There's another ramen in there. I've been going through a ramen series, gourmet ramen for our daimyo supporters. I don't even try to make that. I kind of have given up on ramen. Nee wrote right in here, thanks for making my wife laugh with the hamster trainer comment. Yeah, Nee wrote, you're welcome. Sheldon CO from the Philippines. Thank you, Sheldon. Jimmy Hobler, I missed a couple of these. I just got here. Is Japan opening for USA? The answer is no, Jimmy. Not yet, but we see a light at the end of the tunnel, and we can see what the procedures are going to look like thanks to Singapore's and Japan's reopening between the two countries. And I believe Australians will be, and Kiwis, and Thai and Vietnamese will be the first tourists, and Taiwan will be the first tourists to be allowed back into Japan, it seems like. I'm just sad that Australia still does not have mail service between the two countries. I can't send the postcards to Australians because there's no airmail, although I've sent sea packages to Australia and they've arrived. Thank you, Marty, for letting us know that. Marty's not here. And thank you, Jimmy, for the question. And for making your wife laugh. That's Jimmy for the question, and I'm glad Nee wrote that your wife got a chuckle out of that. You should enjoy these live streams. They're supposed to be fun. So when you hang out with your friends. Fuzzy Face Dog, why is airmail stopped? There's no flights. Airmail requires flights between the two countries. there's no flights to Australia. So that means that Australians have to transfer in Singapore, but Singapore is not, or another country, but those other countries don't have mail between the two of them. They have to be direct flights. So Qantas is not running to Japan, so there's no mail, just boats, and that's messed up a lot of Australians' orders from Japanese companies and such. But hopefully these things do start up. I can't afford DHL or UPS unless you're a corporate customer of those. The prices are like $100 to send a package. It's crazy. So you have to be a corporate customer to get a decent rate. The postal service is the only way. Mail to the United States has opened up because there are some flights, and there's also there's an ambulance going by. There's also a chartered flights for mail that are going by. So they don't have packages going yet by airmail, but I believe they're going to be opening that up soon as more flights to the U.S. open up. Mostly, I think business travelers are going to be the first people allowed in because Japan needs those travelers to come here in order to do business. And the U.S. is an important business partner. So is Australia. So I think that this is going to change really quickly. John, how do you still have any more of the August postcards? Trevor Beck writes in here. Yeah, actually, I think I have about 20 of them left. Yeah, about 20 of them left. And I have about 30 postcards of the September 2. And October's cards, I think it's going to be either another picture I haven't taken yet, I didn't take yet, or me and Greg, beautiful scene at an onsen. It's like this wild onsen scene. I think that might be our postcard for next month. It's beautiful. Place in Fukushima where just bubbling hot water comes out of the ground. It makes a stream, and the two of us bathed in the stream, and it's white. It's awesome. It's got all those. I still slightly smell like sulfur. Scrubbed too. Yeah. I'm gonna do an update today, Joshua, about the fireworks project. The surveys will go out to the Shakodama and the Mindstar backers probably early next week, where you can write what you want to be putting on your Shakodama. And then for the packages, probably about 2 weeks before, you'll get the survey sent to you before we send out the towels and the perks. And the movie will be downloadable video in 4K. But I got a request to have smaller sizes for people who live in countries with bad internet. But this is not streaming media, all right? This is downloaded media. Once you download it, that's your copy. You can't come back and get another copy. You can't keep coming back and downloading it 100 times, all right? So, like if you want to download a standard definition version of it, that's your download. You know what I mean? So that's why it's like 4K. Yeah, go someplace. You paid for it. Go someplace to get a good internet access and download the whole thing. You can download it to your hard drive, then transfer it to a 25 gigabyte thumb drive and watch it anytime you want then. But that's sort of the way it is. I prefer people to watch it in 4K, but it looks like I'm going to make a 720p version for people with poor internet connections to download. I don't know. What you consider starting a tour guide business? Cynthia, I'm not really interested in that. That's sort of why I don't want to do it. If I do it, it's limited, all right? I don't want to be, it's a totally different topic, but I started making videos as a way to connect with more people, because through video, I can take more people with me, all right? So if I do it on a bus, I can be there with people, but I can only take a limited amount of people. And I always saw video as this way where I could connect with a lot more people. This is back in 2006 when I started making mobile phone video and video for mobile devices. 2006, this was before YouTube even existed. I was making mobile phone videos. So I've always seen this platform as a way to connect with a great amount of people without having to actually physically be there. And that was a success based on volume, meaning if you can get more people to watch, you can share and interact with more people, and then they're set up to be able to take those tours by themselves when they go out and do it. I've been thinking like this for over 14 years now, so that's the way it is. Yeah. And you have to deal with sponsorships, defeats the ethics of behind ideals. I don't know what that means here. Would you consider starting a ramen shop, live streaming cooking shows? Maybe. There's a lot of ideas. I think that this COVID, this pandemic has taught us that we need to diversify and have different ways to do business, different ways to make sure that we can generate income and make sure that our families are taken care of. This year, we got hit hard. We lost a lot of income, and that's one reason, now I have more ways to monetize. I have Twitch, which I have not been doing, but I will get back into. I promised Nosh and everybody else. I'll do a Twitch live stream this weekend. I'll just put it out there, probably on Sunday, as well as a Patreon Q&A, because I've been traveling the last 10 days to 2 weeks pretty hard. But finding different ways to monetize and to bring enough income to make sure that you are stable as a full-time creator is very important to any creator. So having memberships, being a member of Only in Japan community is really important. Also, I got a really great Patreon community. It's not about how much. Now it's about how large the community, we can make the community right now. So our goal is not how much money we can bring in, but how many can we get to 1,000 Patreon supporters? Because if it's a larger community, there's a greater chance that the community won't just collapse, right? And that sets up more stability as a creator too, for who's doing this long term. So you're always looking for a merchandise store, is something that we're opening up as well in this fall. So in order to do this full time, you have to continuously innovate. And since I had to start over the channel Only in Japan, I have a new channel now with the content coming, because Greg and I were filming in Fukushima, and then I hurt my leg, which is why I'm filming inside. I fell inside of an onsen and I dropped my GH5 camera inside the bath. But GH5 camera is built like a tank, and it still runs this side. It was submerged in the onsen, and I took it out, and the GH5 was wet, and I dried it out, and it works. It's crazy, right? But I banged my knee up really bad, and the swelling was this big. I put a picture on the Discord server. It looked like a grapefruit, and I can't really walk around, so I can't really leave my house, which is a reason why I'm probably doing this travel update now too. Like, what can I do for our viewers today? It's a weekend. Travel update. And there were some really good things out there. A new Prime Minister of Japan, which I mentioned before. Suga-san's going to do a great job, I think. He's been in politics for a long time, but he's somebody who has the heart of somebody from Akita up in Tohoku. I believe this. He was a congressman down in Yokohama, I believe. So he's traveled around a lot and knows his country really well, but he's like a down-to-earth guy who worked his butt off to get to where he was. And those are the kind of people that respect other people that are working their butts off. So I believe my friend Ruth already reached out to him too. So I don't know. I think it'd be cool to work more closely with the government too. Have you been to the Miyako Odori in Kyoto? I haven't been there. Been to that festival. Yeah. Ruth will be back. By the way, I will be covering those LED manhole covers shortly, okay? I'm going to Tokorozawa to stay the night at a new anime-themed hotel. I'm spending the night at a brand new anime-themed hotel. Did you hear me? Spending the night in an anime-themed hotel. They've invited me. I said yes. So I'm going to Tokorozawa to film this on the 23rd. So it's just a couple of days from here. And while I'm there, I will be taking you live at night to see these things. So, which anime? That's what I'm going to find out. Who wrote that? Who wrote that? Rief2970. So we're going to find this out. So, I keep doing this because this is what you do when you're supposed to end. Saw that on TV. That'll be fun. So maybe 2 or 3 live streams from Tokorozawa or this area of Japan. I'm going to show you this place probably in the morning as well. And we're going to really film these manhole covers because I'm a manholer. And that's what I do. Hi, Jinx. You're now an insider. Thank you. Welcome. Yeah. So there you go. If you have any questions, leave them down below. I hope that you do. Click the like button if you like these updates. If you like the content in general, make sure you do subscribe to the live streaming channel and Do remember that I have a new channel, and go over there and subscribe as well if you haven't already, because I could always use the support. We're trying to get, my goal is 100,000 subscribers by the end of 2020. We're at 65,000. I think we might be able to get there. But I'm gonna have to start putting these videos up now and editing a lot more. But I'm ready for that. I'm ready for anything. You bring me a challenge, I will meet and exceed that challenge. I will destroy that challenge. Just don't make it a food challenge, because my cholesterol is getting higher. That's what I said. All right, see you in the next live stream, everybody. The Image Alley for the knee. What did you write here? Knee recovery fund. Yeah, yeah. Everyone's telling me to go see a doctor. It's still swollen. If I might go see a doctor today. I'm not sure. Kanai said she'll go with me, but only if I make lunch. Irvan's got that covered. Mata ne. See everybody. Stay safe. Wear your masks.